because texture can go into any artwork really. And I also want to be sensitive to the fact that not everybody has all the stuff that I have. So what I did was I got super creative, and I'm just going to use things today that you have around your house. Now, if you don't have any paint, you can go into your shed or your garage and get house paint out, because house paint will work just as great as Dick Blick or whoever, or any kind of paint. So even if you have grandkids and you have watercolors for them, these will also work. So you might want to take notes. I'm going to show you my desk, because this is all the stuff from around my house. Hold on, I'm going to flip around. Just show you all the stuff like that I'm going to be using today. Oh, and I was cheating ahead of time and creating, but I'm going to go over all these things that I've got on my desk. Basically, it's just recycled stuff. So I'm going to keep, all right, before, so I'm going to start, and because it's hard with this many people and everyone's muted, why don't you write down your questions, and then when I'm done demoing, I would love to answer them, okay? So I'm going to flip my camera around, and I'm going to put it on my tripod so you can see my work area, okay? So I'm going to do that right now. And I'm going to make sure this is my piece of paper, everybody can see. One of the things I do want to talk about first before I do anything is this palette I have taped to my desk. This is, you don't need a fancy palette. This is actually freezer paper. So I'm going to put this down here for a minute. Reynolds kitchen freezer paper. And the reason why I love this is I can make as big as palette as I want. So today, just for this purpose, I thought a paper plate was going to be too small for me. So I just taped down some freezer paper. So you can go ahead and you can find that it's Safeway. So you don't need to have anything fancy here, okay? So everyone can see that. So I'm basically going to focus on texture today, and one of my demos needed to dry, so ahead of time I put down the paint and the paper, and I'm going to show you. So earlier today I put down just some watery paint, and I will demo this, but I just want to show you the effect that you get. This is wax paper, okay? And I just put the wax paper on top of my wet painting, and all it was just one turquoise color. And then I put plastic wrap on the other side so you could see how fun. They're similar looks, but different in the same right. So you can get amazing texture. I'll zoom in on that. That's the wax paper. Nothing fancy, right out of my kitchen. That's the plastic wrap. So I'm going to flip this over and show you how I did it and just set it aside just so you can see how easy it is. And actually I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to do it over. I'm going to do a second layer so you can see how amazing. I'm going to put some of this on my palette here, some of this darker green. And I have just a painting brush from the garage. I like it because it's all bristly and scratchy. So I'm gonna dip that in some water and get this this technique really likes wet paint. So that's pretty watery. I'm gonna put it on an area that earlier just didn't get a lot of the plastic wrap. So I'm just gonna put that on. I'm gonna put a little bit down here. Okay. And I'm going to reuse what I had done already. I like crumbled it. And then I'm just going to put this here. And you have a little bit of control about the cells that you create. Like I can manipulate and press and make things larger or smaller. Like, ooh, I like that big. So I'm going to kind of push the water out. See that big cell I made there? And so you have a little bit of control, not a lot. And you got to work fast, because if this dries, you're not like, I think this dried too quickly over here. It's warm today, so all you painters know that if you wait too long, sometimes you lose out. So that's as easy as it is. I think in a half an hour or so, this will be dry, and we can see what kind of cool cells we get. So that's a wonderful thing to do in painting. I was just teaching a course in watercolor, and the greenery on these flowers we were painting was so textured, and I thought to myself, let's use some wax paper, and they just came out beautiful. So I'm going to set this one aside and keep working and showing you new things. Oh, my camera fell. Sorry about that. Hold on, I lost my eraser. There we go. Let's prop this up a little. Sorry about that. Okay, we're back. So I'm putting that to the side. And now I've got a new piece of paper, and I'm going to show you some other things here. So I'm just going to continue with the plastic wrap because we're already kind of thinking about that. So I actually, this time I'm going to use a little bit thicker paint. So I'm just going to wipe that. That's what's so amazing about that freezer paper. I'm going to take some paint, and I'm not going to add water to it. I'm actually just going to smooth it out onto my freezer paper here. You can kind of see that, right? And I'm going to take the plastic wrap, and I'm going to actually put it in my palette, and I'm going to press it down, lift it up. So I have paint now on the wrap itself. Now I'm going to put it on my paper and press it down, rub, and lift it up. Now look how beautiful that is, right? Let's say you're plein air painting and you want to make some amazing textures and some grasses or some tree bark. I'm going to do that again. I'm going to do some layers, because I really find that to have good texture, you can have one layer of something, but the real magic happens when you combine textures, I think. Ooh, and my freezer paper is gorgeous now. So I'm going to just keep, this is going to be a layer here. I'm going to use a little bit more paint. I kind of ran out. Smooth that out. I hope you guys can see my palette. I'm going to move this a little bit. There we go. So I'm going to smooth that out and do a little bit more. And I just love, can't say enough about the freezer paper. So you can clean it and keep reusing it. So I'm going to do this. Another layer here. Oh, that is so pretty. It makes me want to go, oh, love it. You know, and you can keep smoothing it out each time. You don't have to do texture on top of texture, but even in itself, that whole process of texture after texture creates interesting marks. Now, I could just sit here all day and do layers and layers of this in different color, and you would get amazing collage material, or like I said, just painting. Like I would use this technique again for some greenery in any of my work. So there you go. See how organic and beautiful? Look at, you have a nice value, you have some light, some dark area. So that's plastic wrap. So I showed you 2 ways to use plastic wrap, okay? And so I love that first layer. So what I'm gonna do next is show you a couple other things. So this I had laying around. See this cool thing? This came, a beefsteak tomato came in this, and I snatched it up and I said, I want that. I want to do something fun with this. So you guys are my first people that are going to see this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that so it's flat. And I'm actually going to put this on my, ooh, look, it's stretchy too. I'm going to put that on my palette, and I'm going to actually paint on it. I'm going to use, I have orange here. Put a little orange on my palette. And I'm going to clean my brush a little. I don't want anything to get too muddy. I'm going to take my orange paint. This is house paint. I got it at Home Depot, 50 cents. Somebody didn't want it. I wanted it. So I'm going to paint. Oh, what's interesting about this is when I show this to you, you're going to understand. These are crisscross, but there's one on top of the other. So it's actually just lines because the bottom layer isn't getting my brush. So I'm actually going to just go with this, and I'm going to turn it upside down. I'm going to print right on here. I'm going to press. Oop. Ha, look at that. When else are you going to get a mark that looks like that? Okay, you got to go out today and buy some beefsteak tomatoes. Look at that. I am in love with that. I'm going to do one more of those. I'm going to, maybe I'll try. I'm going to try something. I'm going to try to get all of it. See if I can get the crisscross thing design. I'm going to have to press it really hard, but it's foamy, so it will probably work, I hope. Fingers crossed. I call these things happy accidents. Oh, shoot, it's stuck to my hand. There's no right or wrong for me in art. It's all like happy accidents. Just like if you fell or something, you're like, I meant to do that. I don't like that as much. I like this one. So I learned something new. Like, I think I can reuse this. So that's kind of cool. You might have something laying around your house. There's another material I was going to show you that I took out from a little rug in my house, and hopefully nobody will fall. But these are the anti-slip things that you can get at the dollar store. You put them under rugs. Sometimes you put them on your drying rack, or where you may have glasses in your cabinet. So I'm actually going to cut a small piece of this, and I'm going to try the same thing. Ooh. So there's two things you can do. You can actually paint on this and do the same technique I just did. So I'm going to do that and just paint it on that. And I'm going to press it down on this corner here. So that would be kind of the negative image, right? Look at that. That is fun looking. But I kind of wonder what it would look like if I put this down and did the positive image. So I'm going to try it, okay? Like I said, it might not work, but I'm going to try it because I want to try everything. So how am I going to do that? That would be kind of hard with a brush. So I actually have a little sponge here. Just a little, there's nothing special about this sponge. It's just a sponge. So I'm going to put that in my paint. And I'm going to go into the rug anti-slip thing. I'm going to try to hold it steady and just dab some of the paint right through there. Hope you can see that. And I think that's enough. I don't want it too much. So I'm going to lift that up. Oh, and look at that. So I get two different marks from the same material because I thought outside the box, right? So isn't that amazing, right? So you can create pattern and texture just from your rug, okay? So since I have it in my hand, sponges have amazing texture in their own right. So, oh, what would happen if I painted my sponge a little bit and then smash that down on my paper? Now that's pretty. Look at that mark. So I like that. I'm going to do a couple more. And then that was where I painted it on, but I'm going to dip it in the paint itself, get a little thicker and see if I like that look. So I'm going to do that over here. Ooh, that is a little bit darker. So just like they say, right tool for the right job. If you want, you know, a thicker texture, then dip the whole thing in paint. If you want a nice lighter one, paint your sponge with a brush. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you something else that I love to do. Hold on, I got to get my black paint out. I'm going to put a little black paint on my palette. Okay. And I have this laying around in my garage. Whoa, sorry. It's one of these rollers, little paint roller, touch-up roller. And what I did that's different, and this is just, I think it's just less than $1 for one of these. I put rubber bands on it, and that creates really cool texture, and I'm going to show you. So this is one of my favorite homemade tools. So I'm going to spread this out so I can roll my paint in it. And so I'm going to roll that, get some paint on my rubber bands, and now I'm going to roll right on my surface here. And you get really interesting marks. I'm going to actually reload. So that can be really fun. I can tell my rubber bands are really brittle right now, so I need to change them. It's kind of like your vacuum cleaner, like you gotta every once in a while get all that stuff off. Well, this has seen better days. So I'm just gonna rub a little bit more just to get some texture going here. So that can be fun, and depending on where you put your rubber bands, you're gonna get different texture. So fatter ones, skinnier ones. So the creativity lies in what you do with this, okay? Now, you all probably have Q-tips laying around. So I'm gonna take a Q-tip out and I'm going to dip it in the black paint, and I'm gonna do some, I'm gonna make a little pattern next to this orange one, just kind of overlaps. So you can make really interesting patterns with it, or guess what? I really like maybe even painting with it. We're not really creating texture, but I'll tell you what we're gonna do. If you can see the cool designs that it made on my freezer paper, you see all that writing in there? I'm gonna do something with that. This is called monoprinting, when you make one print. I didn't plan on doing this, but this is what happens when I start creating. I get new ideas. So I'm actually gonna turn this upside down. I'm gonna do, I don't wanna do all of it. I'm gonna monoprint right on there. So I'm just gonna press and rub, see what happens. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. That to me is stunning. We have some green showing through and stripes. And while we're at it, well, I kind of like that so much, I'm gonna try it over here. I'm just gonna I'm printing my freezer paper palette. Who knew? So the thing is, when you're doing all this fun stuff, just don't be afraid. It's the worst thing that can happen. Now look at that. I'm sorry, but that's beautiful. Just beautiful. So I'm really liking this, how this is looking, even though I'm not trying to make it into anything cool. So let's show you a few other things. Just cleaning my brush here. Let me get some new color going here. I think I'm going to get some white going. I'll put some white on my freezer paper. Okay. One of my favorite things is credit card. This is my old tennis card from what year was it? 2005. I don't throw anything away. This is my favorite tool. You could use, you know, room keys, whatever you want, credit cards. One time I was demoing at Rossmore and I forgot my credit card for the demo. So I pulled out my ATM card and used it, and everybody was gasping, like, she's using her ATM card. So I'm going to take some of this white paint and get it on my credit card here. And I'm just going to run this through. And I'm going to run it over, and I'm just skimming over the surface. And I am pulling pigment and I'm painting at the same time. It gives you a nice wash. It takes away and puts on at the same time. Invaluable for editing. Whenever I don't like something in my work, I will just swipe right through with a credit card. I start a lot of my paintings with a credit card mark. Let's see what this looks like. Oh, look at that. Look at that texture. That is swiping a credit card over that monoprint from the freezer paper. That is just gorgeous. Okay, so I'm learning all kinds of new things today. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some of that white on the side, and I'm going to actually make some linear marks with this. So I'm going to just create a pattern going this way, reloading. I mean, this is just, how much fun is this? I love this so much. I don't want to ruin anything. So, and one of my students had done these like star kind of shapes where you take it and then you drag like in a half circle. Whoop. Right? You make these like little fan shapes. So you can create shapes with that, lines, just washes. So credit card, okay? You probably have a lot of those laying around, right? Luckily, mine aren't getting used right now in quarantine. So let me see what else I want to show you. Now, one of my, here's another sponge. This is a sea sponge. You're going to get a different mark than that. I don't know what kind of, the other sponge is just store-bought, but sea sponge, if you can have one in your bag of tricks, is going to make a really cool mark. So I'm going to make a mark right over here, right on top of this, because I don't like this area. So that's a neat looking mark right there. That's nice looking. That does not reek of sponge, right? That's one thing that I like to do, is I don't want to be so obvious all the time. Oh, she did that with a sponge. You know, I want it to be special, because I want my viewers, my viewers are special. I want them to be in wonderment how I made a mark, right? So, all right, now we're going to move on to, I'm sure you guys have some kind of crayons laying around. These are from just even the days when my kids were using the crayons. But what I love about crayons is they resist paint, so, and they can create neat textures. So I'm gonna scribble in this little area with a crayon. Ooh, broke it. I'm just gonna kind of make a little area. And you know, I'm getting some texture because I'm layering. So this is the crayon. What I like about crayon, you don't need to buy fancy stuff. my favorite crayon is Crayola brand. There's something about it that's super cool. So I'm going to take black so you can really see the contrast, and I'm going to add some water to it, and I'm going to go right over this area, and you'll see that it's starting to resist, right? It's just interesting that it's kind of coming through a little bit. So you're getting interesting texture. It's like a little light peeking through a window, you know, and if you want more, just dab it. My favorite thing to do is, I call it spraying and dabbing. Just kind of take a paper towel and dab a little. I don't like that line there. Now I'm not dabbing, I'm twisting. But I really love using crayon initially before I paint anything, because it'll eventually come through. So that's really interesting looking. So crayons are awesome. And you don't always have to like write like that. You can peel off the entire side and use it like on the side. So I'm going to do that here. I'm going to create a shape going here and coming over here. So you don't have to use it as a drawing. It can be more of a shading. I really like that. So adding color, different places you can draw with them too. So crayons. And this is also kind of fun here. Here's my rubbing alcohol. Oh, it's right in front of me. So I'm going to take some very liquid, bright color so you can see. I have it here. I'm going to just do a light wash over this area. And that's just watered down. I have rubbing alcohol in this little sprayer, and when I hit it with alcohol, it makes little marks. And when that dries, it's just beautiful and organic, and you naturally get a lot of circles. So rubbing alcohol, I put in a sprayer from just, you know, I got this at Walmart, this empty spray bottle. So so that's that. Now, I always say that rubbing, oops, here's my little prop, hold on. I take away as much as I put on, okay? And why do I do this? Because it creates interesting layers. So I'm gonna try that right now. I'm gonna put some rubbing alcohol on this area. Ooh, this got a little muddy right here. I'm gonna put some rubbing alcohol in there. And I'm gonna take a brush. This brush is like seen better days. It's like super bristly. And I'm just gonna, ooh, I'm getting a lot of mud. It's okay, don't panic. Okay, that looks horrible, right? Watch. Rubbing alcohol removes paint. So if I don't like an area, I'm gonna see what happens if I excavate the area. I kind of think that made it interesting. Kind of cool looking. Taking away, I might take away a little bit here. See what happens. I work on wood a lot, so it's really easy to do with wood. I'm gonna scrub right here and see what I can excavate. It's kind of like you never know what's underneath. I can tell it's gonna be cool, but yeah, that's neat. I like that. So taking away, but look at that interesting texture I got there. It's like so cool. So, which leads me to tell you that if everyone has a toothbrush laying around, I hope you guys are all brushing your teeth. I got a nice toothbrush here. So I'm gonna put that in the watery paint. And I'm going to create a little interest over here. I'm going to just take my hand and kind of splay the bristles and get a spray of paint. Ooh, and I got a little, but this creates nice texture. And if you do this over and over and over with like different colors, it looks really cool. So I just got a nice sprinkling there, right? Some of my areas were still wet with alcohol, so they're spraying, and others are in a dry area, so they're going to remain more sharp edged. Okay. I'm going to remove this area. I don't like it. I like that paint. I don't know what that is. Just going to smooth it out. So I have a few more tricks up my sleeve here. I could go on and on. I get a little obsessed. Sandpaper. So removing, I'm going to take a little bit and see what happens. I might not like it, but I'm going to sand a little bit over here and see if I like it. Like I said, I work on wood, so it's easier. You know, I'm getting the paper. So I'm not going to really go forward with this and rip my paper, but when I work on wood, I can get back to the wood. So sandpaper is fun to use if you have the right substrate. I wouldn't, canvas, it works well. Now, I never throw away lids. First of all, this lid has amazing texture on the side, and it has writing here, which is cool. And then it has a complete circle. So I can do 3 things with this lid, okay? I recently stole our Nutella lid because I was like, I need that. I like the size, I like the design on the side. So I'm gonna do one of each just to show you, you can get 3 tricks for just this one lid. So I'm gonna take some of the white, I'm painting the face of this. And I'm gonna go 2 different directions so I get a nice print. And I'm gonna press it right here in the black area so I have contrast so you can see it. So it's kind of cool. It kind of looks like a stamp, like a postage stamp, right? And it's backwards, so who cares what it says? It just looks cool. So then I'm gonna go a step further, and I'm going to put the paint on this area here. And I'm going to roll this. So I'm going to do it over here so you can see. I'm going to roll it right here. I'm just going to put it down, press pretty hard. I'm sorry, but is that just a, wait, I got to put my finger so I can see where. Is that just a gorgeous pattern or what? I think it's a Tylenol. Let's see, I'm right here. A Tylenol bottle from Costco. That is a neat looking pattern. I love it. Let's see if I can get a second. Yeah, there's still stuff on it. So I just did another pressing over here on the pink area. Okay, so that's a lid. Oh, I forgot to tell you. So the other thing that a lid can do is make perfect circles. So you can paint it, or let me try to paint it, might be better. So I'll just take the lid and put the paint on there pretty thick. And I'm going to press it, and I'll do it in the dark area. I'll do it over here. So you can create a pattern. See that beautiful circle? I love that. So I'm going to create one more of those because I think it looks cool. So you can paint it right on or dip it in your thick paint, whatever you want. I'm going to make 2 of those. I like those. The second one didn't come out as good. So you got 2 circles there. Okay. So I'm going to show you. This is one of my favorite things to do. I have some paint in a little cup because I need to soak my yarn. I have this yarn. I don't even know why I have yarn. I think from the days when my kids were little and I did preschool type art projects. I don't do anything else with the yarn. I don't know why I have it, but this is one of my favorite things to do. So I'm putting yarn in a very liquid. This is acrylic paint that's already been liquefied. Like I just have to pour it out of the bottle. So I'm submerging the string. I'm going to lift it out now. And this can do so many things. I'm going to try to go over all of them. But first of all, you can just drop it and pick it up. And it makes really cool shapes that are just organic and random. So this is one of my favorite things to do. Look how beautiful that is. The other thing is if you take it and drag it, you have a lot of control over it and you can move it, or you can just make lines with it, okay? So I like to do this a lot. I did a whole painting with this. It works really well on wood because the wood is flat. This paper is not flat. Now, the interesting thing about painting with string is, you know, you can sit here and go like this and just make all kinds of texture, right? Okay, I'm making a huge mess, by the way. Now, I discovered a while back when I got a little obsessed with this, is that it, the higher up you drop it, so I stood up on my table and you let it go, it has like the laws of physics and it crumbles into like a tighter ball than if you just throw it from down here. So the higher up you go and drop it, you get really interesting marks. So something to think about. I don't think it'll really carry over nicely in this demo if I do it. So you can see I'm taking away a little bit because it got a little too much. So up close, you get some really interesting marks. And I love that little, it kind of made like a little infinity kind of. So, and you get a lot of this like splatter from the string. And I don't know about you guys, but I found this string that's like really furry. I think it's yarn, some kind of yarn for knitting. And I did this experiment with that and it came out amazing, but I used it all. So I can't show you. I also want to talk about wine here. And wine corks are awesome for making perfect circles. Let me introduce another color so you can see. I'm going to put some turquoise down. And so you can just dip your cork in the paint and then print. It's not perfect if you just dip it, but if you want more perfection, you can get super picky and paint your cork and then press, and you'll get more of a perfect mark. But you never know what you're going to get because corks are quirky. So you get a very textural print. I think part of it is the paint I'm using is really thick. So I'm going to dab some of that away. So you can use corks. And this is another thing that you might have laying around in your trash. This is styrofoam. Came with something one of my kids ordered. I'm gonna just, I'm taking, this is a boba straw, or you know, one of those Chinese straws where you get those drinks. So I'm carving out circles because I really love circles. I'm gonna make a little pattern in the styrofoam. I just discovered this today, by the way. This I was like, what can I stump the Concord Art Association with? I'm gonna dig through my trash and create something new today. So there I have some indentations, and I'm going to put some paint on top. Pretty thick, I think, because I think this is going to be absorbent. So I'm going to go on the fat brush, a lot of paint, and I'm going to put it on. It's pretty absorbent, just as I thought. Okay, I'm going to make a little stamp here. Here we go. I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to wiggle it. See what I get? A lot of texture, you guys. Look at all that texture. Oh. So it's not as flat of a stamp, but what I really like, what I said, happy accidents. I really like how thick some of the paint got through here. And I bet when that dries and I go over that with another wash, these little thick marks, that's going to be beautiful. So I kind of like that. This could be a new tool in my toolbox. So styrofoam. And I think the last thing I wanted to share with you, like I said, I could keep going, but wait, where's my boba straw? Here's my boba straw. So I am going to take some more black to show you so it shows up. This is one of my favorite things to do, but please practice caution. You don't want to pass out. I have gotten super dizzy before. So what I'm going to do is I have this very liquid black paint. I'm going to put it, I don't like this area here. I'm going to put it here. Let me get some more. And you know, one of the things that I use a lot of is a spray bottle. I'm always spraying and dabbing stuff. So if it's not liquid enough, it's moving now. So I'm going to take my straw. I'm just going to blow some air on this. Right? And I'm not crazy about what happened here, so I'm just going to do a little dabbing, get some nice texture. So that's really fun. I am going to try one more thing before I take questions. So when I use in watercolor, I use lemon juice a lot to create effects, and I haven't tried it with acrylic, so I'm going to try it. So let's just see what happens. Could be an epic fail. I'm going to go off the page here and make this really, really transparent. And hopefully nobody's missing the lemon juice. If anything's ever missing, they ask me first, like Colleen probably has it. This is showing through that nice orange we did prior. Let's see if we get a nice effect. Usually it takes a few minutes. This is very acidic. So we might have to wait a few minutes on that one. And just to show you, the rubbing alcohol again really works well. I'm gonna edit some of that down. It's just like magic. So, you know, the impact of the lemon juice, nope, I don't like it. So I wouldn't do it again, not for acrylic paint. So I am going to let Catherine unmute me and see if anyone has any questions and if anyone feels inspired to work today.
Okay, well, I gotta say, I'm inspired. I can't hardly wait to go to the studio later this afternoon and start experimenting with some of the techniques. Colleen, one of the things that you convinced me about is that anything can be a tool for art making. It's like unlimited. I think that's what's so awesome about the way you create your art. So let me right now just ask, does anybody have any questions? I'm going to just go ahead, and whoever speaks up first will actually get the first question answered.
What kind of paper was you using?
Oh, good question. My favorite paper you can get at Walmart, and it's, I'll show you, a Canson brand mixed media paper. I have it in all different sizes. It comes in, this one I used, ooh, let me flip my camera around, is 11 by 14. So there it is, it's blue. Like I said, they have it at all the art stores, but it's cheapest at Walmart. And you can order it online. They'll ship it right to your house. I have all different sizes. So I love the paper because it doesn't really buckle too bad. Like this is pretty wet now, my demo, and it's, you know, pretty intact. So.
And it's a good weight paper though. I mean, you can always tape it down if you wanted to, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So that it wouldn't buckle as much, like tape it on your whatever glass or surface. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Anybody else have a question?
What about freezer paper? Have you tried that?
Freezer paper is the one that I was using as my palette. Yeah.
Freezer paper. Because I happen to have that rather than.
Yeah, I use it as my palette, but you can paint on the other side of freezer paper as well. It's smart and final. I get these sandwich, and what I really like about these is they're really thin, and I was actually doing a little rubbing on, see this little area? If you have thin enough paper, you can do a little rubbing. So, and thin paper collage as well, you know.
So
parchment paper.
Yeah, it's a little bit sturdier. It's a little bit thinner than a parchment paper. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask those of you who are not asking questions, could you please mute yourselves? We're getting a lot of background noise. So if you have a question, you can unmute. Otherwise, keep yourself muted.
Does the alcohol
I'll
have
be forced to mute everyone.
Oh.
What kind of wood do you use? You said you use wood.
I use birch wood mostly. My husband makes all of my panels for me, and that's birch wood.
Thank you.
Does the alcohol have a negative effect on a canvas? If you use the alcohol spray, it's okay, right?
Yeah, it's okay. You know, by the time it does its little magic, it will disintegrate anyway. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, I might add that her husband does work for other people. He did some really nice work for some wood panels that he put frames on.
Thanks for the plug, Pat. He's getting to the point though where he says he'll only do it for my students. And Pat is one of my students, so she gets preferred treatment.
I'm a hanger-on.
Yeah, because it got to the point where he was working more on other people's stuff, and I needed stuff for shows. So now he has this new rule. So if you want to take a class from me, you can get board privileges.
That's a good bribe.
So Colleen, for people who want to sign up for your classes, where's the best place to get information?
Well, I'm currently building up my website. I just had an abstraction class start last Monday. Yeah. So they are 2 weeks in already of a 7-week class. So if you want right now, so let me back up. So I have a drawing class that's starting next Thursday, and that's beginning drawing, okay? And I have a watercolor class that's also 2 weeks in, and the abstraction class, but I will be having other sessions. So I think the best place right now is just to email me that you're interested in taking an online course, and I can either, you can wait, or I can work you in and get you caught up, and we can figure it out.
Okay, so anyone, if we'll go ahead, and the information about Colleen was actually in the newsletter, but we'll go ahead and we'll put her email address out too when we put the recording out, so you can contact her directly if you're interested in taking a class. Having taken Colleen's classes, just one so far, well, I kind of a little bit of one, and then the last one, it's definitely a great experience. I've learned so much in such a very supportive environment. So it's a good place to go in and play, right?
Thank you, Catherine. Yeah.
I agree. Very good.
Thank
Nice
you,
class.
Rosa. Thank you.
You can tell there's some fans here.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yes.
so does anybody else have any questions?
No, but I have a painting to show. Remember, we were going to bring something that we had worked on.
Right, and that's the case. So what I'm going to do at this point, I think I'm going to thank Colleen so much for your
Yeah,
presentation
thanks,
today.
Colleen.
This really was great. I mean, you're doing a really good job with your video skills, and I know I personally got a lot out of it, and I look forward to getting feedback from those who are able to see the recording. So I'm going to go ahead